A dog takes between 20 to 30 breaths per minute and lives for around 10 to 12 years. A human breathing 12 to 20 times per minute can reach an age of 80 to 100 years, but the tortoise, a creature that inhales just 3 to 5 times in a minute, can live for 500 to 600 years. This simple observation reveals a profound truth. The slower and deeper the breath, the longer life extends. The ancients understood this mystery and realized that by reducing the speed of breath while increasing its depth, one could extend life. They did not measure life in years or months, but in the number of breaths taken. This insight led them to develop techniques that could slow the breath naturally, creating a state of harmony between the body and mind. Most people today are unaware of their breath. They only notice it at specific points, such as in their throat or chest, without realizing how deeply it affects them. When we go about our daily activities, our breath adapts, but we pay little attention to it. We know that oxygen enters the body and carbon dioxide leaves, but beyond that, we rarely consider its significance. Yet, deep breathing has remarkable effects. With each slow, mindful inhale, our immune system strengthens. Toxins that linger in our body begin to clear, and fresh oxygen revitalizes the brain, sharpening memory and improving focus. It's as if a switch has been turned on in the mind, bringing clarity and awareness. Just as a strong gust of wind can awaken an entire forest, so too can a deep breath awaken our inner energy. However, in today's fast-paced world, most people breathe in a shallow and hurried manner. They do not realize how their breath changes with emotions, how anger quickens it, how fear shortens it, and how excitement alters its rhythm. Breath is not just air moving in and out, it is a reflection of our inner state. And when controlled properly, it becomes the gateway to self-mastery. This understanding was deeply embedded in ancient traditions, especially in yogic practices, where breath control was considered the foundation of inner transformation. In a secluded monastery, a wise Buddhist monk devoted his life to teaching the power of breath. He had spent years meditating in the remote caves of the Himalayas, uncovering hidden truths about human existence. Now, he shared this knowledge with his disciples, guiding them toward self-realization. One evening after supper, the most intelligent disciple of the ashram approached the monk. His face bore a look of deep contemplation. The monk, noticing this, smiled knowingly. "Master," the disciple said with reverence, "I seek answers to something that has been troubling my mind." The monk nodded. "I have seen the thoughts in your eyes. Speak freely." The disciple hesitated for a moment, then said, "You often say that breath is the root of yoga, meditation, and inner peace, that by mastering breath, we gain control over our mind and emotions. Today, I wish to understand this truth in depth. What is the real secret behind breath?" The monk gave a faint smile. "As is our breath, so is our state of being," he said. "Our emotions, our thoughts, and even the events in our lives are all linked to our breath. If you can control it, you can control your mind. And if you can control your mind, then no external force can disturb you. A true seeker is one who does not let the world dictate his state of mind." The disciple leaned forward, completely absorbed in the conversation. The monk continued, "Have you ever observed a river? A river that rushes fast, crashes against rocks, and loses its energy quickly. Compare that to a still lake, calm, deep, and undisturbed. The breath is much like this. Those who breathe fast and shallow burn their energy quickly. They are restless, anxious, and easily disturbed. But those who breathe deeply, slowly, and with awareness, they preserve their energy, extend their life, and find peace within." The disciple listened intently, realizing that his own breath was often fast and uncontrolled. "But Master," he asked, If breath is so powerful, why do our emotions control it? Why does it change when we feel anger, desire, or fear? The monk's expression turned serious. That is the greatest challenge, he said. To control breath is to control emotion, and to control emotion is to master life itself. When anger rises, the breath quickens. When fear takes hold, it shortens. But if you consciously slow your breath during distress, you can control the storm within. This is the secret of self-mastery. The disciple absorbed these words with newfound reverence. The monk continued, "Most people let the outside world dictate their inner state. When they are insulted, their breath changes. When they face hardship, their breath trembles. They are like leaves blown by the wind, powerless against the forces around them. But the true seeker turns inward. He becomes the master of his breath, and in doing so, he becomes the master of his fate." The disciple pondered this deeply. "But Master," he asked, "how does one begin? How does one break free from these patterns and truly take control of the breath?" The monk smiled. "By watching," he said simply. "Watching," the disciple repeated, confused. "Yes," the monk affirmed, "by observing the breath at all times. Do not force it. Do not try to control it. Just watch it. Pay attention to how it moves in and out of your body. Notice how it changes with your emotions. The more you watch, the more you will understand. And the more you understand, the more power you will have over it." The disciple took a deep breath, feeling the air fill his lungs, then exhaled slowly. For the first time, he paid attention not just to the act of breathing, but to its rhythm, its sensation, its connection to his thoughts. It felt different, more alive, more profound. The monk, noticing this, smiled. "Good," he said. "That is the first step." A silence settled between them, not of emptiness, but of deep contemplation. The disciple felt as though he had been given a key, a simple yet powerful truth that could unlock something far greater within him. After a while, he spoke again. "Master, you mentioned yogis who can live for centuries, who can slow their breath to such an extent that they become one with nature. How do they do this? How do they reach such a state of mastery?" The monk's eyes twinkled as he replied, "Through discipline, practice, and unwavering focus. They train their breath as one would train a wild horse. They slow it, lengthen it, deepen it, until it moves with the rhythm of the universe itself." There are stories of yogis who, in deep meditation, take only one breath per minute. Some can hold their breath for hours, entering a state where time itself loses meaning. When the breath slows, the mind becomes still, and when the mind is still, the body follows. This is the secret to longevity, to inner peace, to true wisdom. The disciple listened, his mind filling with wonder. "But there is something else," the monk added, leaning slightly forward. "Have you ever heard of the power hidden within the breath?" The disciple shook his head. The monk's voice lowered, as though revealing a great secret. "There are certain breaths," he said, "that can awaken hidden abilities within a person. The breath is not just a tool for survival. It is a force of energy. When controlled properly, it can unlock the dormant potential within the body and mind." The disciple felt a fire ignite within him. He had come seeking answers, but he had found something far greater. A path, a purpose, a way to unlock the deepest mysteries of life. And so, with his mind awakened and his heart steady, he took his first conscious breath, not just as an unconscious habit, but as an act of transformation. The disciple sat in stillness, his breath flowing in and out like a tide, no longer an unconscious act, but something deliberate, something sacred. He felt as though he had been handed a great key, a hidden treasure that had been in front of him all his life, yet he had never truly seen it until now. The monk observed him with quiet satisfaction. "Master," the disciple said after a moment of silence, "you spoke of yogis who slow their breath to such an extent that they live for centuries. How is this even possible? How can something as simple as breath influence the length of one's life?" The monk smiled, sensing the hunger for knowledge in his disciple's voice. "It is not breath alone," he said. "It is the mastery of breath. Just as a skilled craftsman refines his tools, a true seeker refines his breath. The breath is not just air moving in and out. It is prana, the life force, the very energy that sustains us. And those who learn to preserve and control it can extend their existence far beyond what is thought possible." The disciple was entranced. "But how, Master? What exactly happens in the body when the breath is slowed?" The monk's eyes gleamed as he began to explain. "When the breath is deep and slow, the body enters a state of profound relaxation. The heart beats slower, the organs function with greater efficiency, and the mind becomes clear. The unnecessary waste in the body is removed more effectively, reducing the wear and tear on the cells. This is why a tortoise, which breathes only a few times per minute, can live for hundreds of years, and why a dog, which breathes rapidly, ages quickly. In the case of a yogi, he does not merely slow his breath, he refines it, guiding it with precision. Through disciplined practice, he reduces the number of breaths he takes, and in doing so, he reduces the toll of time on his body. His heart does not overwork itself, his mind does not waste energy in restless thought, and his life force is preserved. The disciple was captivated by these revelations. He had never before considered the idea that breath was more than just an unconscious function. It was the very rhythm of life itself. The monk continued, "Have you noticed that a baby, when sleeping, breathes from the belly? The stomach expands with each inhale and contracts with each exhale. This is the natural way of breathing. But as people grow, their breathing moves higher into the chest, becoming shallow and erratic. This unnatural breathing brings anxiety, fear, and unnecessary stress." The disciple's mind raced. "So, Master, are you saying that if we return to belly breathing, we can regain the peace and vitality we once had as children?" The monk nodded. "Yes, and not just that. By training the breath, one can transcend ordinary limitations. A person who breathes deeply from the navel maintains a calm and stable mind. Have you ever noticed that young children do not hold on to worries? If they cry, their tears dry quickly. If they are scolded, they forget soon after. This is because their breath remains deep, unburdened by tension. But as we grow, we hold our breath in moments of fear. We take shallow gasps when stressed, and over time, this damages our entire system." The disciple began to realize the depth of the monk's wisdom. "Master, if breath controls the mind, then does that mean it controls everything we feel?" The monk's gaze was steady. "Yes, all emotions are linked to breath. The breath changes when anger arises, when desire surfaces, when fear grips the heart. But if you learn to control the breath, you can control these emotions instead of letting them control you." The disciple took a deep, slow breath, allowing this truth to sink in. For the first time, he felt as though he had touched something truly profound. The monk let the silence linger, allowing the disciple to absorb the wisdom he had just shared. Then, in a measured tone, he continued, "There is another secret hidden in breath, one that most people never realize. Breath is a bridge." "A bridge?" the disciple echoed, puzzled. "Yes," the monk nodded. "A bridge between the body and the mind, between the seen and the unseen, between what is and what could be. If you learn to walk across this bridge, you will gain control over your mind, and once the mind is mastered, everything else follows. The disciple pondered this deeply. But Master, how can breath lead to control over the mind? The monk's expression turned serious. The mind is restless, always running from one thought to another, always reacting to the external world. But the breath, if trained, can slow the mind. The moment you control the breath, the mind must follow. The two are inseparably connected. The disciple sat in silence, absorbing the weight of this truth. The monk continued, "Have you ever heard of yogis who tame wild animals with nothing but their presence? Lions, tigers, beasts that should be untamed, sit calmly before them. Do you know why?" The disciple shook his head. "Because their breath is perfectly controlled," the monk explained. "They breathe in harmony with nature. When the breath is in complete control, fear disappears. And when fear disappears, all creatures recognize the presence of something greater. The lion, the tiger, they do not see a man before them. They see an energy they do not understand, something beyond their comprehension, and so they surrender." The disciple felt a chill run down his spine. "So, Master, does that mean by controlling breath, one can gain control over the world around them?" The monk smiled. "Not in the way you are thinking. The world outside is merely a reflection of the world within. When you control your breath, you do not control the universe. You become aligned with it. And when you are in harmony with the universe, all things flow effortlessly." The disciple bowed his head, overwhelmed by the depth of this wisdom. The monk looked at the young disciple with warmth. "Now you see, breath is more than survival. It is the essence of life itself." The disciple's mind was racing. "Master, is this why you say that those who master breath can master time itself?" The monk nodded. "Yes. When you slow your breath, time seems to slow with it. Your body does not age as quickly. Your mind does not wear down from constant stress." The great yogis of the past did not fear death, for they understood that by mastering their breath, they could extend their existence far beyond what is believed possible. The disciple took another deep breath, this time feeling the air move through him with an awareness he had never known before. He realized that he had spent his entire life breathing without truly understanding it. The monk watched him with knowing eyes. "Now, your journey begins. From this day forward, do not breathe unconsciously. Let every inhale be mindful. Let every exhale be deliberate. The more awareness you bring to your breath, the more you will uncover the mysteries of existence." The disciple bowed deeply, gratitude swelling in his heart. He had come seeking answers, but he had found something far greater, a path, a purpose, a truth that could change his very being. And so, with newfound awareness, he took his first conscious breath, not just as an unconscious act of survival, but as the beginning of a transformation that would last a lifetime.